Hey there, garden friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm, and today I'm going to do some stuff inside and a few things outside. But the first thing I'm going to tackle today is getting my Thanksgiving decorations up because we are having family next week, and I want it to feel festive in here. So this is my sideboard, and it does store like all of our linens and all kinds of other crazy things. But during the regular course of the year, all it has on it is succulents. So all that has to come off, and then I will start setting up. I'm not sure what I'm going to do this year. I always do the same kind of thing. I kind of want to change it up a little bit. So I have my tub of supplies over here, and then we'll see what I come up with. Okay, so I've got a whole bunch of things in here that I've been using for the last probably 15 years. I don't tend to get a whole bunch of new stuff for Thanksgiving, but I do have a whole ton of stuff for Halloween. I usually add something new every year, and also for Christmas. So fake pumpkins, plenty of these. I also have these lights. They're like autumn leaf lights, but currently I've got something different in the kitchen window. A bunch of bags of these like pine cones and fake berries and things like that. They usually look nice in, you know, like containers, vases. All right, more fake pumpkins. Oftentimes I have a whole bunch of actual real pumpkins, but this year I didn't. They're out front and they're smaller, so I'm just gonna leave them there. One faux velvet pumpkin. I love these. This is actually a real pumpkin stem, and then it's like a bean bag. It's really heavy, so it's kind of cool because it doesn't, since it weighs a lot, it doesn't tip over. And then I have two of these jars of wheat sheaths, which I actually really like using, and of course Indian corn. Can't have enough of that, right? Okay, so now I need to decide how I want to treat the sideboard. But I also have a mantle that I want to decorate, and the tough thing about this mantle is it's really thin. So let me show you what I mean. So here's my mantle, and usually it has a whole bunch of stuff on it. I've already gotten rid of that in preparation for decoration. These are faux birch candles. I've had them forever, and they have batteries so that you can light them. But this mantle is really very narrow. It's only about 6 inches wide, and I have this gorgeous autumn garland here, which I love, but it's really tough to get it to stay on this mantle because it's so narrow. So I might switch things up and use the garland over on the sideboard instead. So yeah, I'm gonna play around with some things and see what I come up with. Okay, maybe not the most inspired autumn theme for my sideboard, but it'll work, it'll do, it's festive. And then the mantle is, I don't know, I'm still not really happy with it, but it's asymmetrical because there's a pumpkin over here and not over here because there's not space. I do like it lighted, but I mean, it's so thick, if you see, like I can't really put anything else on here because it won't, there's no, there's no space. But it's missing a vertical dimension on either end, either one or the other. I think what I did last year is I think I put that on this end. So I'll try that now and let's see what happens. Yeah, I think that's better. Even though it's asymmetrical, there's just something that helps about that drawing the eye up. Okay, next up, I would like to take down this, the autumn leaves, the lit autumn leaves, and put up these little autumn leaf lanterns, which is what I usually put up here, but they were up in the rafters in the garage until just 2 nights ago. So now I have them. I am gonna have to get an extension cord because I don't think it's gonna reach. But, and during the day, you can't see this light anyway, but at night it's really nice. It gives, you know, a little bit of festive attitude over here. And in the wintertime for Christmas, we have like snowflakes, lighted snowflakes up here. But I'm also thinking of changing that up to something different too. But so now I need to climb up here on this chair and carefully take down the old garland and put up the new one. It occurred to me that I should not be wearing socks doing this because that chair is slippery. It's a little bit challenging because I have that Monstera plant, which the plant is over here in the corner and it grows up, and I train the branches all the way across the top. I've actually cut it back a number of times. It needs to get out potted. So after the holidays, after the winter, when we're moving into the next growing season, I'm gonna change the pot in this plant. Anyway, now I just need to find a short extension cord so I can plug that in because we have an outlet right over there. And because whether it's Halloween or Christmas or Thanksgiving, I always like to have lights up here on the bar. We do have an actual light, overhead light here, but it's fun and festive to have decorations up here. So these are just battery operated lights. We don't have any plug-ins for Thanksgiving. All right. I'm gonna string them first because once the batteries go in, it's really heavy. And since I'm working with glass bottles behind me, I wanna make sure that I don't hit anything, cause any damage. All right. Yeah, I'm actually gonna be looking for some new, at Christmas, I string a big thick garland up here that's all lighted, but it really is thick and heavy. And so I'm gonna look for something a little bit less heavy and a little bit more light, and not necessarily a garland to use up here, because something like this is a lot easier to weave in and out of bottles. Okay, I think that'll do for now. Okay, next job. This bed was gonna lie fallow and just be cover cropped, but a box of tulips that I had totally forgotten that I ordered arrived yesterday. This is Apricot Impressions, and this one is Avant-Garde. So we're going to dig up this bed and plant all these tulips. I don't think they're gonna take more than half the bed because as you saw in a previous video, we plant them very close together. So what I'm gonna do is use this little shovel here. I'll scoop out one side of the bed, put all the soil on this side, put in all the tulips, and then cover it back up. Actually, for ease of use, I might scoop out this half down here instead of this side because it's kind of harder. I've got 3 blueberry plants here in pots. So I think maybe doing it from this end, dumping the soil back here and then covering it back up would be way easier. So that's what we're doing next. Okay, that job done. Again, covered with straw because squirrels and other things like to dig up bulbs. I mean, you'll see over here, the straw that I spread out has been scattered by the birds as they look for seeds and stuff. So, you know, I'll probably put another layer on there, but everything's looking good. Okay, next little job I want to do today, and I'm going to apologize because I have to step into the sun. It took me forever to find a camera angle that didn't overexpose because it's really bright right here. Over here, see? I am going to change out my normal bird feeder, which is right here, for a suet feeder. This is the area right in front of this is my kitchen window, so we get to watch the birds right here whenever we're in the kitchen. And Raven loves to sit here in this window and watch the birds. So this is a suet feeder. Looks like this. The suet itself, this is great for birds in the wintertime. So this particular one has rendered beef suet, cracked corn, peanut pieces, and grain. So this is not for human consumption. Not that you'll get sick necessarily, but yeah, I wouldn't eat it. But it's really important protein for the birds. So, because during the winter, obviously they have less to forage. So I'm gonna set this suet feeder up on this. Sometimes I hang them in trees, but I would like to watch them this time, enjoy their suet. So that's what I'm gonna do with this one. If I can get them out of the plastic. And then I'll just bring my other feeder, I'll put it somewhere else in the yard because we have a couple other feeders, but they could use as much food as possible in the winter time. I don't feed them as much in the summer because there's plenty to forage, but winter and spring, they need it. All right, and this stuff does go bad because it's beef suet. So, you know, don't buy it and leave it sitting around for 6 months. It definitely won't still be good. All right, gonna hang this up and hopefully the birds will enjoy it. So let's go feed the rest of the flock. that will last all of about 2 days. Update on seedlings that are supposed to go in the high tunnel. I mean, you can see how small they still are. These were planted on the 21st of October. If this was summertime and it was warm, they would be super tall, bursting out of their seams right now, but these are still too small to put in the ground. So, you know, I knew this was a risk, and it's okay. I have plenty of stuff planted, but those really should be going into the high tunnel, so I have additional things. I've got feverfew on there, and strawflower and status, and more snapdragons and stuff, but it's okay. I could plant them now. It's not like they're, you know, gonna die putting them out there because it's cold. They're used to the cold. It's just that they're really small, and I generally like to have better root systems and a little bit bigger seedlings to put in the ground. So I'm gonna leave them for a little while, but I think we've kind of entered that time of year where they're not gonna do much. And so these seedlings could potentially sit here until spring looking the same. I do fertilize them once a week with, I think you've seen me do this before, fish emulsion and kelp meal. It's very fragrant, but provides a lot of nutrients to seedlings, and it's very gentle, so it won't burn their roots, but it does help them grow. So I'm just going to keep an eye on them. But like I said, we're going down to 30 at night now, and the daytime is usually just at 60 or below in the 50s. So this is when those seedlings generally, like the ones in my field, generally want to just start to hibernate for the winter, and they're putting on root growth, but no real top growth. So we'll see. It's not a waste. I can still put them out there. They just may not come up as hardy as I want them to. But they also might be like a second succession because they're going in much later at a much later stage in their development than the ones out front. So that will give me a long, prolonged flush. So we'll see. But as it stands now, for the spring, we're going to have tons of different kinds of tulips, tons of different kinds of narcissus, feverfew, status, strawflower, fragrant stock, snapdragons, Amimagus, let's see what else, Bupleurum, Bells of Ireland, Daucus, there's probably a lot more, Calendula, Rudbeckia, which they overwinter for us here and they just continue to bloom all year. All of those things are going to be ready in the spring for harvest. So I'll have lots and lots of flowers for my customers, for wedding clients, etc. And I think we're set. We're set. We're in a good place. Oh, ranunculus. Almost forgot the ranunculus. There's 700 ranunculus, 800 ranunculus. So more than enough. Yeah, so between the farm and here, we're going to be set unless something really catastrophic happens, and gosh, let's hope not, because I feel like I've already reached my limit on farm catastrophes for the year. So I think that I'm going to wrap it up for today. It's actually still morning, but for the rest of the day, I have a knitting project that I'm going to be working on. A friend of ours, a close friend of my knitting groups, passed away from cancer literally the month before the pandemic lockdown started. And her daughters were young at the time. They still are young, but they're in high school now. And she was in the middle of making something for them, knitting something for them. So what we've decided to do is take that yarn and make 2 knitted blankets for the girls from that yarn, and yarn that we all have from our stashes that matches those colors, because it was a multicolor yarn. So we're all making squares, and then we're all going to attach them together and give them as gifts to the girls. They can bring them to college with them, whatever they want to do. But so I need to pump out a whole bunch more squares. I've got about 8 already, but I have a ways to go. Great thing about knitting squares is it's fast and easy, and you can watch TV while you do it. So I think that's what I'm going to spend the rest of my day doing, especially since I'm still kind of dragging after my 2 vaccinations yesterday. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Coming up on, I think I'm going to the farm tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I need to check on things because I haven't been there in a week. We got 1.5 inches of rain, which is wonderful, but I'm sure some things there that aren't on irrigation could actually use some water. And I need to pick up the 2x4s and the gutter and an accoutrement for putting together the water collection system when the rain barrel arrives here on the home greenhouse. So I need to pick that stuff up. But Thursday, I'm going to take you guys to Orchard Nursery for their holiday showcase. They have so many amazing things in their trees and their ornaments and stuff, and I can't wait to show you. I think it'll be really fun. And of course, I won't be able to help myself, and I'm sure I will purchase a few things. Maybe that's where I can get lights that I would like to put up on the bar as opposed to the big old-fashioned garland I've been using for the last 15 years. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know this was a mishmash of a video, but hopefully you had some fun watching it. I really appreciate your support. I hope you have fun decorating for your holiday coming up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.